I have been on a mission to declutter all kinds of plastic from my kitchen. I know that a lot of you guys are doing the same. So today I've got 9 foods that secretly contain microplastics. These are not things that they put on the label. It's not on the ingredients list. You wouldn't know. Studies have shown that plastic can actually accumulate in the body, and because we're being exposed to so many microplastics every day in every way, and guess where they accumulate the most? It's the brain. A study published in Nature Medicine found that the brain contained more microplastics than any other organ in the body. And I'll link all of these studies, but there was another study that found that patients with Alzheimer's disease actually had more microplastics in their brain than others. Now, this is all in the new stages, right? They've just started really researching that stuff. But I personally am not willing to take any risks. I've gotten rid of all kinds of utensils and things like that. I know a lot of you have done the same. And until this is studied further, nothing's going to change. They're not going to regulate it. So it's up to us. These companies, they don't care about us. We have to care about ourselves. I've been in the sustainability and human health industry for the last 2 decades, and I'm very passionate about these kinds of topics. Okay, so with that, let's get into this. I think some of these are going to shock you because this first one, this shocked me a lot, and this is scary, and I don't know why I didn't think about it, but the first one is chewing gum. I did not know that chewing gum is made up of plastic. I actually don't even know what I thought that it was made of. Researchers have found that chewing gum releases microplastics into your saliva, and then of course you swallow it. And they found that people who chew a lot of gum have the equivalent of 15 credit cards worth of plastic in their body, because as you're chewing it, the plastic goes down into your digestive system. I did see this really concerning graphic, and if I can find it, I'm going to put it up, but it basically showed when you put a piece of gum in your mouth, it's an explosion of microplastics. Okay, so what can we do about it? Because this video isn't going to be, don't eat this, don't eat that. It's going to be, here's what it is, here's how you can avoid it. So what they say for avoiding the plastics and gum, couple things. Well, first thing, don't chew the gum. I've stopped chewing gum. I've stopped a couple of years ago because I do think it's not the best for your teeth necessarily. What they say you can do is instead of refreshing your piece of gum, just chew that piece of gum for longer. So that way you're not getting new microplastics with every piece. Because some people will chew gum for 15 minutes and then they'll put another piece in. You don't want to do that. Now, when I mentioned in a previous video about decluttering your kitchen and getting rid of your rice cookers, I had a lot of comments. All of you guys love your rice, and I get it. I love rice too. But that brings me to number 2 on my list, rice. Rice is another surprising source of microplastics. We already knew about the arsenic, right? That was something we learned a few years ago, but now we need to worry about the rice. And let me tell you something, it's a lot. For every half cup of rice, there are 3 to 4 milligrams of microplastics in that rice. And then if you eat the instant rice, the one that comes in the plastic bag, the number is 4 times higher. It's 13 milligrams. So what you can do if you love your rice, this is one simple thing you can do, and it's just simply rinse your rice. If you can rinse your rice, you can reduce those microplastics by 20 to 40%. And honestly, a lot of people in other countries rinse their rice anyway, so I think this is something that we should probably be doing anyway. This one's really bad, and I've shared this one before, so it's just a little refresher because a lot of you guys didn't know about it, and there have been a lot of articles lately, and I've seen a lot of other YouTubers now talking about this topic, so I'm glad that people have taken a real interest in their health and they are sharing that information. But number 3 is tea bags. Tea bags contain microplastics. And the reason is, I thought forever that those mesh tea bags were paper. Think again. Those are made of plastic because if you think about it and you put your tea leaves in paper and then put it in hot water for 5 minutes, it's going to disintegrate, right? So they need to use plastic in those bags. And let me just tell you, there was a study from the Autonomous University of Barcelona, and they studied these polypropylene tea bags, because that's what they're made of, and they said that they can release plastics particles in the billions. And then those nylon and cellulose tea bags, particles in the millions. You just can't get away from it. So how to avoid it? Just a simple way to avoid it. Don't buy those tea bags anymore. Simply buy loose leaf tea and a mesh tea strainer. I'm going to put one up here. I'll actually link one below. I don't have one because I don't drink tea that much. My husband likes tea, but this is what you could do. You could get one of these. I used to have one back in the day. Perfectly simple to fill it up and use it just like a tea bag. This one's a little surprising as well. This is number 4. And you know, you think that you're eating well and you're eating healthy and then you're eating microplastics, but the 4th surprising source of microplastics in our food is in the plant-based processed proteins. I'm talking about those burgers, those nuggets that are supposed to be like chicken nuggets, but they're actually plant-based. Things generally contain microplastics like chicken nuggets and fish sticks anyway, and they think that that comes from the manufacturing process. But for some reason, when it's the plant-based ones and the plant-based proteins ones, those contain even more microplastics. And there was a study and it said that plant-based nuggets contained 100 microplastic pieces per serving. I'm not going to tell you not to eat your plant-based protein. It's just one of those things that you need to be mindful of. So maybe if you're consuming it every day, maybe think about cutting back. Think about ways that you can maybe eat different things at home. Maybe you could make your own with tofu and things like that. Just some ideas of how you could maybe avoid this a little bit and get away from those processed foods. Another source of plastics in our body, and this is the top source, it's apples. So fruits and vegetables do have microplastics in them, but guess what? Apples have the most. They are the top contaminated one when it comes to fruits and vegetables. I mentioned before that there's microplastics all around, and unfortunately there are a lot of microplastics in our soil, and this comes from different manufacturers and the manufacturing process getting those into the soil, it gets into the water, and unfortunately it gets into the root system of these plants, and then it gets into the fruit itself. And then to make matters worse, you will see at the grocery store, they're putting fruits and vegetables and apples in plastic bags. But what's funny is the FDA right now doesn't recognize that when you have things in plastic bags, that plastic is actually coming off and getting into the fruits and vegetables, so it's not a concern for them. But I avoid it. I avoid this like the plague. I do not get those plastic grocery bags. I don't put any of my fruits and vegetables in plastics. I put them directly either into my reusable shopping bag or right into my cart. And then I try not to buy fruits and vegetables that are in those bags, like peppers and apples and things like that. I just think that that's unnecessary waste anyway, so I don't even want to pick that up. This next one, and I should have kind of paired this maybe with the tea bags one, but it's honey. Honey also contains microplastics, even if it's in a glass jar. Microplastic can actually, for the bees, be traced all the way back to pollution. So this pollution is getting into this whole process that the bees are going through when they make this honey. It's interesting because the bees will pick the microplastics up from the environment, bring them back to the hives, and then it will show up in the honey. But what you can do to avoid this, and this is a good news, and this is what you should be doing anyway, you can actually greatly avoid this by getting your honey from local beekeepers and local sources. You want to do this anyway because one of the benefits of honey is that it helps reduce allergies. And the way that it does that is you're kind of getting exposed a little bit to those allergens in the honey. And so you want to make sure it's local so that you're getting exposed to the local allergens. And a lot of times these local beekeepers as well will use better processes for getting their honey. You know, that it's more natural and more sustainable when they harvest it. And I have to tell you, a lot of the honey doesn't even come from the US. If you're buying it those large jars or bottles in the store, look on the back, see where it's coming from. A lot of this honey, surprisingly, is coming from places like China or other countries that they just don't really want you to know about. I personally wish I could keep bees and I just would love to do that one day. I'm not really set up to do that. Let me know if any of you guys do that. I bet there are some of you who do. I've also shared this one, and this was surprising to me as well, but it's salt. Salt contains microplastics. It's very unfortunate. I'm actually going to put up this study. This came from Momivation. I reference this website a lot. They found that 90% of the 39 sampled salt brands worldwide contained microplastics. 90%. Basically, the contamination here kind of comes from a few sources. If you're eating sea salt, then the plastic pollution that's in the sea is actually getting into your salt. So it's not really from the manufacturing process, it's more just as the salt is formed. I have recommended this salt. I actually have this now. This has been tested to be plastic free. A lot of you noted that this salt is in a plastic bag. The irony of this is not lost on me. I wish they would put it in a cardboard box, glass, something other than plastic, right? I mean, fortunately, I don't think the plastic from the bag is quite the concern, but definitely this kind of salt is much better than the regular table salt you can buy or the sea salt where there's a lot of the microplastics. Okay, this next one you probably know, so maybe it's not as shocking, but maybe you don't know. Bottled water. One study estimated that there are as many as 240,000 microplastic particles in a liter of bottled water. And you know, a liter of bottled water isn't a lot. It is 2 of those smaller sized bottles. These are made from that PET plastic, but what happens, and I see this all the time, those plastic bottles are filled with water and then they sit in hot places. They sit in the hot trucks. They sit in the hot sun. That plastic breaks down. It gets into the water. I guarantee you, if you did a taste test, you would be able to taste it. The other day, I was looking outside and my neighbors get these huge plastic water bottles delivered. And it was really hot out and these bottles were sitting on their front porch with the sun beating down on them for many hours. I just so wanted to tell them about this. I didn't see them, but it's not safe. Okay, this next one is probably the most well-known one, but it's also very high and very concerning to me. But it's seafood. One of the most significant ways that plastic ends up in our oceans and into our seafood is through single-use plastic bags, right? You've all seen the photos. Those end up in our waterways. Fish are ingesting them. It's polluting everything. And these microplastics get taken up by plankton, which then get eaten. But then these plastic bags are also mistaken as food by fish and shellfish. And I'll show you this. A recent study published by Portland State University, they discovered a variety of microplastics in 180 out of 182 tested seafood samples. I will link this study again as well. And I will also tell you that in addition to those plastic bags, another source of pollution in the ocean and why there is so much microplastics in our seafood is from microfiber. Microfiber is a very common type of microplastic that's found in the ocean. And you may think that microfiber is a fabric because I thought for years that it was a fabric, but instead it is plastic that has been woven into a fabric-like thing, and it's great for cleaning because it has all those properties to pick up dirt and dust, but then it also sheds microplastics every time you use it, every time you wash it, when you get rid of it. So this one's a little bit harder to avoid, and essentially all I'm doing is I'm just eating seafood a little bit less, and that's just gonna be my solution for now. And you know, after watching this and hearing all of these things, you may be thinking to yourself, what can I eat? What can I possibly do? Everything has microplastics. We're not gonna be able to eliminate microplastics from everywhere. We're going to get them. All we can do is control what we can and learn as much as we can about it so that we can make the decisions that we're comfortable with. I believe that knowledge is power. I think that the more we know, the better options we have, the better choices we can make. Okay, guys, I hope this video was helpful to you. Let me know if you want to see more content on food. I've done a few videos on this topic. I'll actually link a playlist and some videos in case you want to learn more. But I know a lot of you are interested in food, so not just things in our home, but also the things that we're buying and ingesting and putting into our bodies. So just let me know and I will start making some additional content on this.